Hey, what's going on? Today we're going to turn an array into a string formatted with the octave comma or serial comma rule using Vue.js filters. So if you aren't familiar with filters, filters allow you to modify the output of your data and props inside your template. Some examples might be making all letters capital, though that should really be done in CSS, or trimming content. They're going to remind you a lot like computer properties, but they definitely have different use cases and they're pretty different. I'll talk about that in another video. Check the description for a link if I have created it by then, or subscribe and hopefully I'll have that video out in the future. Alright, so here's our test project. It's a profile template for a made-up site called coolcats.com. Here we have a cat named Jacob, his age, net worth, likes and dislikes. So likes and dislikes are both an array, and ideally we'd want it to be formatted like this in the comment. Normally for arrays or list rendering, you would use the v-for directive, and this is what I've done in the past, and it makes your template look ugly, and then you have issues with the trailing comma and such. So it's not really ideal. There has to be an easier way, and this is where filters would come in. Now you see here that you could also use computed, but if you were to use computer properties, you would have to have a computer property for both likes and dislikes. Filters, once they're defined, can be used anywhere in your template as many times as you want, and they're chainable. So how we would use a filter is you would use the pipe, and then you would just write in the name of the function. So our function for adding the octave comma format is just going to be called list delimiter, and I didn't get an error because I already defined it down here in advance. Okay, now it's time to write the logic for our filter. So filters take the value in from the previous thing that was piped in. So our first argument for the filter is pretty much likes or dislikes. And you can add additional arguments like this. And whatever gets passed here would be the second argument. You can do more and it'll just be the third and so forth. But we're not going to do that. But because of that, we're going to make delimiter a default argument. We're just going to define it up here. The way I'm going to write this filter is I'm just going to use map on list. And of course you can do this whatever way you want. It's just the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to go through each item and add commas. And at the very end, I'm going to join them together as a string. So now we just have to return each item with the delimiter. And before we go forward, let's just move the return up here because map returns the new array. And we'll just join the array here. So same result, just a little shorter and cleaner. So now that we have our comma, we want to eliminate the first one. So let's add some conditionals. So instead of returning delimiter plus item, we're just going to return item and then throw some logic above that. So I don't like getting the length of a list, which we're going to be doing often inside this function, and working with an index. Because when I want to say I'm the last item in a list, I also have to do I plus 1 because indexes start at 0. So just for this, we're going to kind of redefine index or our position in the list with n. So n equals I plus 1. So now we can do if n is less than the list of the length, so we're not at the end, we will get our commas. Let's do less than or equal to because we also want to apply to the last item in the list. So now we have our commas, perfect. But now we want to remove the very first comma, so let's just add another conditional inside this conditional. So if n is not equal to the first item, we're not going to add a comma. So perfect, now we have all the commas. Now we have a nice comma separated list. This is not the octave comma, we also want to have and in there. So let's do any of the conditional. So if n is equal to the last item, this is where n really comes in handy, otherwise I'd have to do I plus 1. So if 3 is equal to 3, we want to make it say and and item. So this, now we can remove this equal to because we don't want to actually get the last item in that conditional. So now we pretty much have everything set up. It's just that now we want to get rid of the comma when we have two items in a list. So let's write another conditional. So, this goes down in order. So up here, we're going to do if n is, or if the list length is not equal to 2, then we're going to add a comma. But if not, then we're going to go down to the next condition. I'm just going to do item equals and plus item. So boom, that wasn't too hard. Now we pretty much have our Oxford comma. That's it. Just to make this extra fancy and nice, let's add another conditional. And if n is the first item, we're just going to make it a capital letter. So we're going to do the first character to uppercase, and then we're going to, copy everything but the first character of the item and return it. So there we go. So boom, there we go. Now we have our Oxford comma list. So the next cool thing is that you can define filters kind of scoped towards the component, or you can define it at the app level. So let's do that. So we're going to go to main.js. If you do Vue.filter, you name the filter here, list delimiter, and then you just pass in a function. We'll do a fat arrow function here. And as you can see, it still works, but now this is globally available. So you use this anywhere in your app. So if you ever have any text series based lists or whatever and want that Oxford comma swag, just use your filter here. So the Oxford comma code isn't worthy for NPM or anything else like that. So you can just copy and paste this and implement it in your project however you'd like. And if you want the fully completed project, it's in the description, the code sandbox link. Thanks for watching.